Hey guys, so considering the September ban list came out recently, as well as the new OCG October ban list being announced, I thought I'd go over some cards that I think were missed on the most recent TCG list. Now, I wanted to be more timely with this video and get it out earlier, but unfortunately I was pretty swamped over the weekend with something else, so hopefully it's still not too late to discuss this. And I can't wait to get started with this new format, and I'll be providing an updated deck list for Cyber Dragons with replays, as well as another analytical video coming in the next couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, back to the list. Overall, I'm honestly quite happy with the list, just because of the fact that we actually got a proper list this time and not an unbanned list like the last one. And I'm glad to see Block Dragon finally gone, and Jet Synchron and O-Line being gone too is nice, but I think players will adapt pretty quickly with these tuners being gone and replacing them with something else. Like I know Plague Sprayer Zombie is going to be a common one. And like everyone else, I was jumping up and down to see that Feather Duster was put back to 1 because, I bought this card actually a year ago for this very moment. And the only time I ever used Feather Duster in a duel was realistically in just the old video games when I was a kid, because I never owned one at the time, so it's certainly gonna feel nice after finally getting to resolve it in real life duels. Now, Rusty being back was something I didn't really want to see, understandable though because of Phantom Rage, but if you remember what Orcus was like after Dark Neostorm was just released, you had to deal with the 2 Fog Blades and then the Dingirsu Send on top of the Rusty Pop. It was pretty annoying to deal with. Now, Call by the Grave to 1 was certainly bizarre, and I know other people have already talked about this. It looks like the way to go now is Triple Tactics Talent or Crossout Designator whenever that comes out. Really hurts rogue decks more, so this one was pretty hard to see. Totally awesome, and ABC Dragon Buster to 2 is nice to see. It was unfortunate that they were prematurely hit to 1 in the first place, and Graph and Seer coming back to 2 as well. Not really surprising. I think a lot of players were predicting this. As for the Unlimits, I'm just really glad that Pantheism is finally at 3. I love Monarchs, but the deck bricks really hard, and this should help the consistency quite a bit, but unfortunately just a bit too outdated to compete in this meta. Now, I'll actually be doing an analytical video on Monarchs as well sometime in the near future, so watch out for that one. Anyways guys, enough about what Konami actually hit and unhit, but on to cards what they missed out on this list. And I developed this list based on looking through other big name YuGiTubers and their prediction lists, and collected the most common ones that were predicted and were not actually hit on this recent list. And I want to emphasize that I'm not saying that they should have hit every card that I'm going to show you, but rather that at least some of these cards could have also been hit, and also just to serve as a reminder that we still do have these problematic cards that I'm about to show you. So to start with the Forbidden section, for me, I think the most notable exclusion in the banned section is Smoke Grenade of the Thief, which is honestly an awful card being abused by Infernoble Knights, but also used by Dragon Link decks as well. And I suppose it wasn't hit because Infernoble Knights are a pretty recently released archetype, so maybe it will get hit later down the road. It's really not fun to have cards ripped out of your hand before getting to play, especially when Infernoble Knights, they still also set up a board of at least a quick effect pop and, at least 1 negate, so definitely my least favorite meta deck to go up against at the moment. So another missed card is VFT. I just don't understand how it survived the list for so long. And a similar card that people wanted banned was Zexal, which actually just got banned in this most recent OCG October list. But to be fair, the Numera engine has actually shown to be not that popular after release, but who knows, maybe things will be different in this new format, but that's something to consider. Guard Dragon LP was another card that a lot of people were kind of mentioning. Dragon Link is looking really good for this format. I guess LP survives another ban list, and it's been kind of on that chopping block for the last year essentially, but looks like they still get to keep him. Dragon Buster Destruction Sword is another card that wasn't hit, which really does create some degenerate plays. Even after you Dark Ruler your opponent, for example, you still can't really do anything if you can't get rid of Destruction Sword equipped to most of the time Borreload Savage. And one could argue that Union Carrier is actually the problem card to be hit, and that's a fair argument, but I think at least one of those two really do need to go away at some point. Now, several YouTubers also mentioned about Link Cross being a potential ban-worthy card, and it's certainly true. But for a card to be banned, I think this card is a little too new. Eternity Code, especially for North America, there was that delay in release because of the pandemic, so really it's been out for about 3 months, and I think it was too new to be banned. and I know at least in the OCG, shortly after Link Cross got banned there, I know Infernoble Knights kind of fell out pretty hard. I don't know what it is like now, but you know, since that archetype is pretty new for us, it doesn't surprise me that it didn't get hit yet. So on to the limited section. A common card that many people kind of predicted was Scarlet Sanguine should be limited, but to be honest with you, I don't think that's surprising either, because Eldritch is still pretty new, and Konami sort of hit the combo aspect by hitting Jet Synchron and O-Line, although I'm sure there's going to be workarounds to that. And there was also that supposed leak back in July of what's in the Maximum Gold Rare set, and which will come out in November, and the leak included the Golden Lord. Now everyone was saying that the leak is fake because it had Feather Duster in it, but now with this list, Feather Duster is legal again, and the leak also had Rusty and Beatrice on there, which kind of makes sense with the ban list changes. So, you know, if this list is actually true and Golden Lord is somehow getting reprinted in this set, even though it's very early for a reprint, then it would make even more sense that Konami didn't hit this deck directly. Another card they missed is just a card in the Invoked engine in terms of whether it be Magical Meltdown, which is what most people kind of predicted, or Alistair for example, but you know, this is just a really splashable engine that people thought would be hit for like the last 3 lists now, but looks like it still survives for another day, and Dogmatica Invoked is still safe. Another card that wasn't hit even up to now is Mystic Mine, and arguably this card really should be banned, but at the very least, you know, it would have been nice to see it be limited. I mean, of course you could argue some decks will just play it at 1 anyways, but still, I just don't know why they allow such a degenerate card to exist. Now ideally, they could have also limited Halki Fibrax so that, you know, once you stop its effect once, they can't try to do it again the next turn and continue on with their combo plays, and at least limiting it and not banning it, which it should be banned in the future, but at least limiting it, you know, people would still buy product to get this card, but looks like nothing's changing with this one, and it's kind of disappointing, but at the same time, understandable. Now, some would argue that dinosaurs could have also received a limit, like for example Oviraptor or Fossil Egg, but for now, I think it's okay, and we'll just see kind of how this format evolves. Okay, so on to the semi-limited section. Honestly, it's kind of hard to say what cards were missed for the semi-limit, because for the most part, this section is pretty weird, and a lot of the cards could probably just go to 3 except for Mali, because, you know, clearly it just keeps flipping back and forth. And I don't think any cards were really missed here, right? I mean, some YuGiTubers, they thought Pantheism could be put to 2 to start, but I'm glad to see that Konami just released it to 3 straight up. And you could argue that maybe Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon could be put to at least 2 because of the errata, which some YuGiTubers did have it in their predictions, but I think it's fine that it didn't change anything, considering Dragon Link cards weren't hit on the list anyways. And as for the Unlimit, I would say Konami at least unlimited the most notable cards that people were clamoring for, including Tour Guide, Pantheism, and Winnow Anchor, so I'm happy to see that. And some YuGiTubers did predict that ABC, Dragon Buster, and Totally Awesome could come back to 3, but you know what, 2 is a really nice start, so can't complain about that. Anyways guys, that's my list of cards that I think were missed on this most recent list. Again, it's not that I expected Konami to hit all of these cards, I know that's not realistic. I'm more so providing a reminder that these problematic cards still exist, and it would have been nice if at least some of these cards were hit as well. But overall, like I said, I'm honestly really happy with the ban list that we received, because it is an actual list this time, and I don't have too much to complain, and I'm just excited for this new format, and I hope you are too. Anyways guys, that's it for me. Take care.